After that, let's talk about one more handler method, and that is change. So as we have this Aura handler for init event, we have an Aura handler for change event also. This change should be the change in some attribute. Okay, it could be any attribute, let's say index number. If there is any index number, if there is any change in the index number at any point of time, I want to handle that. Please focus. I repeat myself. Whenever there is any change in the value of this index number, I want to handle that change. So there must be some action from the user which is changing the value of this index number. And whenever there is any such action, at that point of time, I want to handle this. That is why in the markup I defined one more Aura handler with the name change, and the value is binded with this attribute. Okay, and whenever this get changed, I want to call a function. Let's say c dot change in index number. This function is not yet defined. Let's define it. Close this. Okay, let's define this function. Done. I have defined this function, and console.log there is a change noticed in index attribute, index number attribute. That's it. So now the question is, when this index number will change? Actually, this index number is getting changed. So if you look at the preview, okay, so this is the preview of the offer page. Let me open the console logs as well. Clearing the console. Add 3 education details. So if you add 3 education details, your init function will get called for 3 times. Okay. Now in this 0, 1, 2, you know that this 0, it represents the index number. 1, it also represents the index number. 2, it again represents the index number. Clearing the console once again. Now what if I delete? Please note. Now what if I delete this second component? That means the component with index number 1. When I delete this second component, the component with index number 1, then the third component, which is at present has index number 2, will become the second component with the index number 1. That means for this particular component, index number will get changed. Correct? So if I do that, this index number will change from 2 to 1. and this component will become the second component. At present it is third, but then it will become the second component. Okay, fine. So if this index number is getting changed and I have one aura handler in the markup, I have this aura handler with the name change and value index number, then my method should get called. Let me see. So I'm deleting this second component with the index number 1 and expecting that this method should get called for this third component having index number 2 at present, but later this index number should be changed to 1. Let me do that. So it happened. There is a change notice in the index number attribute. This function gets called for once. Now suppose this is something maybe difficult to understand at once, but just try to grab it. Okay, so if I have 5 components, 0, let me add more, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Oh sorry, I deleted it. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 components with index number 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now if I delete the component with the index number 0, then for component number 2 having index number 1, for component number 3 with index number 2, similarly for component number 4 with index number 3 and component number 5 with index number 4, I can understand that there would be a change in the index number for all the 4 components. Okay, so if I delete the 0th one, or if I delete the first component, this will become 0, and okay, I can't keep it to this. This will become 0, this will become 1, then 2, then 3, and then that's it. So if this index number is getting changed for 4 components, then 4 times that function should get called. So let me delete this 0th component with the index number 0. Doing that, you can see that there is a change notice in the index number attribute, and this text is appearing for 4 times. Why? Because for 4 components there is a change in the index number. Okay, we have understood this. That how to define this aura handler with the name change and how to invoke a function. Now okay, here we are. Now to correct this indexing which is getting started with 0, what I'm going to do is I'm going in the helper I am defining one function, helper method, variable index number, component.get v.index number, variable new, parseInt index number +1, and that's it. I'm defining one method, and in this helper method what I am doing is, in the variable index number I am fetching the current value of the index number. Then I am defining a variable with the name new. In this new variable I am adding 1 and setting it, whatever value is there in this new variable, I am setting sequence number equivalent to that. Okay, and this helper method, let me change the name of this helper method first. rectify sequence. Good to have some prefix like helper rectify sequence. Okay, going to the controller. I want to call this method helper rectify sequence from this change index number. Why am I doing that? I am not going to tell you. I am not going to tell you why, because it must be self-explanatory to you. Okay. If you have any question, you can put it on the discussion board. Cool. So I am calling this function from two sides, one from init and the other one from this change in index number. Also from in the component, instead of using index number, I'm going to use sequence number. Okay. Now let's check the preview. Should change from 0 to 1 now. Okay. Adding one component. Oh, good. I have some error coming up. Let's check what it is. Is helper not saved yet or what? Helper, yeah, we have not saved helper. Refreshing the preview. Okay, adding education details. See, it starts with 1 now. Add one more, 2, one more, 3. You can delete the second one. If you delete the second one, the third one has become the second and you still have a proper sequence. This is what I wanted to achieve, and now it's done. That's great, right? So we did that using init method, also using this Aura handler for init event and also Aura handler for change event. There are various ways to achieve this. I did that using this so that I can help you in understanding the Aura handler, init event and change event. Okay, we are good now. We have understood the usage of init method and also the Aura handler, how to define the Aura handler for the init event and invoke the init method, and likewise